talking about some habits that you can develop or start today to really help improve your financial position over time. Now, a key kind of ingredient on all of these is that this is not about necessarily trying to dramatically change what you are doing, just perhaps doing things better and more efficiently in terms of how you are using your current finances. I think all too often when we talk about saving money or building wealth over time, the general reaction is, well, that means I'm going to have to sacrifice something. And so we wanted to take some time and give you some ideas about ways that you can do that without actually necessarily really kind of having to sacrifice anything. And I guess the first suggestion we would have on that, just so you can kind of get a flavor of what we're talking about, is that the notion of that over time, over the course of your working career, there will be points where you might get bonuses, you might get windfalls, or you might get raises. And so what we would do, as a suggestion or as a great habit to get into, is anytime you get a bonus or anytime you get a salary increase, take half of it and save that and increase your savings accordingly. And that's not necessarily going to change your current income, right? Because this is new money. This is a higher level of income that you previously had, or maybe it was a one-time bonus or whatever, but that was money that you didn't have. So it doesn't necessarily impact your current income, but if you take and save half of it, that's going to have some pretty significant financial implications as well. So the idea there is simple. By saving half of any increases or bonuses or windfalls that you get, then you're able to make sure that you are saving without it impacting you or your finances as it exists now. Also avoids kind of lifestyle creep, where the more money you make, the more you have a tendency to spend, right? You're making more money, you want a better car, you want better clothes, you want a better house, all of those kinds of things. But the issue is being able to ultimately look to build wealth over time. And that's one of the most powerful ways in which to do that. Another great way to do that is to make sure that you are, in fact, automating your savings. Don't do it at the end of the month. Do it at the beginning of the month. Pay yourself first is oftentimes what we like to talk about. But beyond that, making sure that you are automatically having that money come out of your paycheck and go into your 401k or your 403b or your deferred comp plan. That way, because if you're left to kind of write the check, if you will, or make the deposit, I can tell you, human behavior will make that less likely to happen. So simply by automating your savings, it certainly is a great way to be able to make sure that you are saving money on a regular basis. Flip side as well is automate the bills, and that way you can, or the payment of the bills, and that way you can also make sure that your credit stays good as well. So certainly some things to think about it. Automation is huge for long-term success. Not to say you shouldn't have some periodic check-ins along the way. You certainly should. So maybe it's not a set it and forget it, but perhaps it's a set it and review it. That also, I guess, goes not just for your savings, but obviously also for your investment plan as well. So some things to consider there. Along with the fact of one of the ways in which to build wealth over time without necessarily dramatic behavior changes is to really kind of look at those fixed expenses and try to keep those as constant as possible. Now, what do we mean when it comes to fixed expenses? Those are things like your housing costs, your car payments, the things that you pay on a regular basis that the amount that you pay doesn't really change from month to month. Those are your traditional sort of fixed expenses, and try to lock those in at the same level from one year to the next, and then that way they become a smaller percentage of your overall expenditures, and then that way it gives you the opportunity to potentially save some money. So the lower those fixed costs, the more flexibility you have, and ultimately certainly some important considerations there. Along with the next one, which is to make sure that you are using debt carefully, right? I think one of the folks at the office did some videos on some of these payday loans and things like that, which have become all the rage, particularly among the younger generation. That is the worst example to use when it comes to borrowing money, because the cost there is just so high. So make sure that you are paying attention to some of the hidden costs, some of the hidden charges that can come into play when it comes to debt and debt usage. You want to always be very careful when you are borrowing money, whether it's a payday loan or credit card or things like that. You really want to be very careful about the interest rate that you're getting charged, and whether that interest rate is fixed or whether it's variable, because sometimes those variable rates can certainly move up to be pretty dramatic. So make sure you're using that debt carefully. And then, of course, any conversation, if you're a regular listener to the program, you know the next thing I'm going to say. Any conversation, when we talk about good habits and building good habits, it does require the B word, the budget. At the very least, it doesn't have to be a monthly or weekly spreadsheet with a pie chart and all of those kinds of things, but at least to take the time to have an understanding of what's coming in and what's going out. I mean, that, after all, is a core of any budget exercise, is what does the money coming in look like, and what are the expenses that are going on. And so ultimately, it's about having kind of awareness. It doesn't necessarily, you don't need to have it, down to the penny, but making sure that you have that baseline understanding of the money that's coming in and the money that's coming out. And then, of course, and this kind of been a theme throughout the entire show, make sure that when you are investing consistently. Don't pay a whole lot of attention to the news per se. The reality is that time in the market, not timing, is the best way to build wealth over time. Time in gives you the phenomenal power of compounding, which obviously works dramatically in your favor, and it does remove the emotional decision making that comes with making investments based on kind of the news cycle, which certainly we chatted a little bit about earlier on this very program. And be careful about making sure that you stay focused on kind of progress. I think far too often, people kind of get off track because maybe they haven't seen much progress after doing it for a few days or a few weeks. Look, reward yourself for these minor steps that you're able to take when it comes to your finances. That will help you stay motivated long term to really help develop good financial habits. And it really does sort of eliminate the all or nothing kind of thing. Oh, I didn't save the money that I wanted to save this week, so I'm just going to throw up my hands and not bother. No, keep at it. It's so important to kind of keep at it, and ultimately over time, you'll start to develop good habits when it comes to your money. So certainly a wide-ranging program on this week's program, as we do each and every week. But I do think there was some commonality, or a common thread, if you will, when it comes to thinking about what's appropriate from an investment perspective. Don't confuse a compelling story with a suitable investment, especially one that's dominating the headlines. Make sure you're thinking about the news through kind of the lens of your overall financial plan before you make changes. Look at making some good habits and being consistent with those to build wealth over time. With that, we're going to wrap on up and get on out of here. Thank you for listening to this week's program. This has been Joel Garris of Nelson Financial Planning. Make sure you visit our website at Nelson Financial Planning to schedule that absolutely free conversation on how we might be able to help you make better decisions with your money. Have a great rest of the day.